Hi, welcome to another video blog. What I want to talk about today is around one of the challenges that a lot of leadership teams face is around really being aligned for people in their organisation. The topic I want to talk about today is what we call the 4 levels of alignment. Senior leadership teams have a lot of responsibility, and when teams aren't, or senior leadership teams aren't aligned, there's a lot of things that come with that, some of the issues that they face. First is they can have very strained relationships within the senior leadership team. Senior leadership teams that aren't aligned can experience a lot of miscommunication and frustration towards each other. They can also feel that they're revisiting issues over and over again and never quite moving forward on certain things. Senior leadership teams that aren't quite aligned can feel that they're getting caught in the detail a lot, getting sucked back down into a lot of day-to-day things. And more importantly, senior leadership teams that aren't aligned can appear dysfunctional and ineffective to everybody else in the organisation. That not seeming aligned then can have a bit of an impact in terms of how leadership's seen by others. So when it comes, if these are issues that you face, what I want to talk to you about today is a really simple way to think about it so you can become more aligned as a team, which is about what we call the 4 levels of alignment. Very first thing that leadership teams need to take the time to be aligned on is what's called the issue. You need to be aligned on the issue. And what we mean by that is you've got to actually take a moment to decide, do we actually agree that there is an issue in the first place? Do we also have the same view of what the issue is? So when we're talking about the issue, are we talking about the issue in the same way? And the definition and clarity around the depth of that issue, is it actually understood by everybody in the same way? Are we aligned on that? Are we all aligned on the extent of the issue? And are we all aligned on what's going to happen whether we do or don't solve this issue? Recently, working with an organisation, there was a conversation happening about an issue, and one executive was trying to talk about a planning process and how to actually change and improve a planning process, and others were sitting there saying, well, why do we need to talk about this? Everything's fine. And the conversation was going around in circles because not everybody in the team was actually aligned that that was a problem we needed to solve in the first place. So that's the first level of alignment. The second level of alignment for leadership teams is we need to be aligned on our role, or the role that the leadership team plays in relation to that issue. So what's the cause for us? So when it comes to aligned on our role, do we need to be just providing a bit of guidance to other people in the organisation? Is our role a decision-making role in relation to this issue? So do we need to decide what happens? Or if it is a decision-making role, in exactly what way? What is it that we need to decide versus others decide? Is our role actually more as just steering, just providing a bit of guidance on something? Is our role to provide a framework? Is our role to just be consulted or informed on it? So are we all aligned as a leadership team on the role we need to play in relation to that issue? That's something that we need to take some time to talk about and get aligned on. The third level of alignment is we need to be aligned on the approach that we're going to take as a leadership team in fulfilling that role. So I've seen recently with another senior leadership team, they decided that their role in relation to an issue was to go out and engage with people in the organisation and provide some direction on a new strategic initiative. One leader then sort of went and literally fired off a whole lot of emails saying, please do X, Y, Z. Another leader actually went out and had some open, inclusive brainstorming sessions and consultative focus group sessions. And the impact of both leaders' style was actually felt within the organisation and created some issues. Now, the intent of both leaders was the same, and both were actually doing what they committed to from an approach point of view, from a role point of view, but they hadn't actually aligned on the way we're going to do it. So what was felt by other people in the organisation was quite some inconsistencies in leadership style. So things you need to align on in terms of our approach is, what are the guiding principles that we're going to take to maybe having this conversation that we're going to have? What is our decision-making framework? Okay, so if we've decided our role is to make a decision, how are we going to make the decision? Is it a majority rules? Is it a 70% agreement, 100% commitment? Is it something we feel we need to have consensus on? What's the process we're going to go through in terms of making the decision? If our role is just to provide a bit of steering and a bit of guidance, then let's actually agree in terms of what we think guidance looks like. Okay, what would be a good guidance framework that we need to give to our people? So we need to make sure that the approach we're going to take is well understood, and even in a lot of conversations that we're going to have as a leadership team, just taking that moment before we start a conversation to frame it up. What's the approach we need to have to this conversation today as a leadership team? Why are we having it? What do we need to get out of it? How are we going to go about the discussion? So we need to be aligned in our approach first. And the final level of alignment, the fourth level of alignment, is we need to be aligned in our behaviour. So what's really critical is when we're both having the conversations and then outside the room, we're all consistent in doing and saying the things that we've agreed. So the small behaviours of how we interact with others and the style that we bring to the organisation, we need to make sure there's some consistency in that. Some of that would have actually been agreed when we talk about our approach, but just more generally, we need to make sure that the behaviour of each of our senior leaders is consistent. What these 4 levels do is they're actually going to create a much stronger profile and much stronger sense of cabinet unity to people in the organisation. If you can actually work through these 4 levels as a leadership team, there's a few things that's going to give you. The first and most obvious is you're going to have much better relationships as a leadership team. But more importantly, you're going to feel that you're doing the right work. You're doing the right thinking, okay, and you're putting your energy towards the right things. Next is you're going to be having the right conversations as a leadership team. Okay, so the quality of those conversations is going to improve significantly. You're going to feel that you're moving things forward as a leadership team, and really importantly to everybody else, you're going to be displaying the right leadership to others. So the takeouts from today is just if you're feeling that there is a little bit of misalignment or a little bit of frustration in how the leadership team is working, just at any point in time, let's just go back and revisit going through those 4 levels where we may be breaking down. Are we aligned on the issue? Are we aligned on our role in relation to that issue? Are we aligned on the approach we need to take to play that role? And then are we aligned in the behaviour we're exhibiting as we fulfil that approach? Hopefully today's been helpful for you. We wish you ever the best. Wish you every success as a leadership team.